Scott Robertson will be announcing on Monday his All Blacks squad heading to the Northern Hemisphere, and in this video, I'm going to be giving my All Blacks squad that I would love to see head north to take on some brilliant sides. Now, I should clarify, this is not what I think Scott Robertson will do. I think we will see a pretty similar squad to what he did go with throughout the Rugby Championship, but I've made quite a few changes here, some due to injury, also some due to form. So hopefully we do get to see some of these changes made. Now, the squad that is being announced will be 36 men, same as the Rugby Championship. So we're going to be looking through at the players selected for the Rugby Championship and then switching out who I think should be added in and taken out. So starting with the hookers, there are 3 that they had for the Rugby Championship: Asafo Aumua, Cody Taylor, and also George Bell. Now, of the Rugby Championship, we saw a huge amount of Cody Taylor, not a huge amount of game time for Asafo Aumua. Even when he was given the chance, it was mainly off the bench. George Bell, we didn't see throughout the Rugby Championship, only training with the squad and then also getting some minutes in the Bunnings NPC. So for my All Black squad, I would have Asafo Aumua, I would have Cody Taylor, but this is where I would switch out George Bell and I would give Ricky Riccatelli the opportunity for the All Blacks. Now, the last time he wore an All Blacks kit was 2018, and he has been in some terrific form for the Bunnings NPC. He was also right on the verge of getting selected, I believe, when the initial Scott Robertson squad was announced, but that is where we saw him take the young crusader George Bell over Ricky Riccatelli, who has proven time and time again that he could be a very good option in that number 2 jersey. We saw him play for Taranaki only last week, got himself 4 tries in that contest, and he wasn't even supposed to be in the starting lineup. A late change for Bradley Slater brought that man in, and yes, a lot of those were off rolling mauls, but imagine that kind of rolling maul dominance for the All Blacks. If that was something that they could get moving, perhaps we'd see a few more tries for the ABs as well. So that is the change that I would make in the hookers. In the props, not too many changes here for myself. In the Rugby Championship, it was Ethan de Groot, Tyrell Lomax, Fletcher Null, Pasilio Tosi, Ofa Tuangafasi, and also Tamaiti Williams. Now, Fletcher Null has got a little bit of an injury at the moment, but I believe he will be recovered by the November International, so I have decided to leave him within my side. But the player that I am taking out is Ofa Tuangafasi. I just don't think we've seen enough from him throughout the matches that he's played so far. He was in some pretty good form throughout Super Rugby Pacific, but that hasn't really translated into international rugby. Gave away some silly penalties, and just at the moment seems to be the 3rd choice loosehead prop. Before him, Tamaiti Williams and also Ethan de Groot. So I've decided to give a young guy an opportunity in the space of Ofa Tuangafasi, and that is Xavier Numia. Now, he hasn't found his same rhythm that he had before his injury, because we've got to remember Xavier Numia injured just before that first All Black squad, which I think if he wasn't injured, he would have had a very good shot of being an AB's bolter, and perhaps that's where we did see Pasilio Tosi take his place. But I still think that Xavier Numia has got a really dynamic style for a prop, and with a little bit of fine-tuning, could be extremely effective for the All Blacks as well. So Xavier Numia, the one change I would make in the All Blacks props. For the locks, they had Scott Barrett, Tupavai, Patrick Tuipulotu, and Sam Derry. Now, we've seen a little bit of Josh Lord at times, as well as I believe Isaiah Walker-Leawiri was brought in as injury cover for Tuipulotu, but he is now back, rearing to go for November, so I have stuck with the same 4 locks. I think Sam Derry, throughout the games up against Argentina, looked a lot better than a player with the lack of experience that Derry has. He's a physical individual, he's really good with ball in hand, and he's handy enough when it comes to a line-out steal for the ABs as well. So I would keep those same 4 locks, nice and easy. Scott Barrett, I believe he's still going to be the captain, so I should probably keep him in the squad as well. Moving on now to the loose forwards. Now, the only jersey we've really seen rotated in terms of players is that number 6 jersey, where we've seen Wallace Satiti do extremely well. We've seen Ethan Blackadder start the Rugby Championship pretty strong until he ended up getting that injury, although he is playing for the Tasman Marcos this weekend in the Bunnings NPC, so that is a great sign that he should be back ready to go for November. But someone who didn't get too many chances was Samipeni Finau, and it makes you wonder, Is he going to be there for the November internationals, or are they going to give someone else his jersey? So for myself, I've kept Ethan Blackadder. I've actually decided to take Sam Cane out. Now, that could be considered very controversial, but I believe the big goal for Sam Cane was to get him to his 100 caps. He's now done that. He has achieved what many All Blacks have failed trying to do, and that is bring up that century. I would still take Sam Cane to the Northern Hemisphere though. Just not so much as a player in the squad, but more so a mentor for these younger guys. You won't get a better opportunity as 5 matches in a row up against some of the top sides in Europe. So I would actually take Sam Cane out here, and this is where I would put in Peter Lakai. Now, Peter Lakai has been a strong player for the Hurricanes for the past couple of seasons. He's a dynamic ball runner, which is something that unfortunately we haven't seen a lot of from Sam Cane. Throughout the Bunnings NBC, Peter Lakai has carried the ball 114 times. He's made 110 tackles, and he's just a really bright prospect for the All Blacks. So I do hope they give him that chance. Now, he could actually come in for Samapeni Finau instead. For all we know, it might be a switch that they do want to make, but I would go Peter Lakai over Sam Cane. I just don't think the All Blacks are willing to make that switch. Samapeni Finau. I've actually decided to go a bit controversial with this one. Now, some people already probably know what player I'm going to say, and it's a player that some felt should have been in the All Blacks initially, but others felt like his defense as well as that work rate was the thing that cost him. I think if they are going to play Wallace Satiti as a number 6, and they are going to play Ethan Blackadder as a 6, that means you need another number 8. So I've decided it's not going to happen with Scott Robertson side, I don't believe, but I've gone Hoskins Satutu for Samapeni Finau. Now, Finau just hasn't quite found his stride at international level, and with 2 players now jockeying for that number 6 jersey that aren't Finau, it means that it's going to be extremely tricky for that man to get game time. Now, there is a chance that they just transfer Wallace Satiti back as the replacement 8 for Ardie Savia, and then that would kind of work quite nicely. But then we've got to remember there's also a man by the name of Luke Jacobson trying to get any jersey in that loose forward trio. So I've gone Hoskins Satutu rather than Finau, just because if they give Hoskins Satutu the chance and he doesn't live up to the expectations that some people want him to, then at least they can say they've tried it. But for now, everyone is just wondering, would he do any better this time round at international level than he did the last time he got the chance for the All Blacks? So yeah, big change there. Finau out and Hoskins Satutu in. Also in my loose forwards, I've got Luke Jacobson, Dalton Papali'i, who I hope will be 100% back from his injury, Ardie Savia, who had a pretty strong Rugby Championship, although still not quite to the level that we normally expect from Savia. He still made 84 tackles, still beat 17 defenders, still had 89 carries throughout the comp, but people always want to see that little bit more from Savia, so perhaps we see that throughout November. Wallace Satiti, the last man in the loose forward trio, who at the moment for me is one of the breakthrough players of the year for that All Blacks team. But moving on to the 9s. Noah Hotham was selected in the Rugby Championship, TJ Perenara, and then also Cortez Aratama. Now, Scott Robertson kind of avoided the question when he was asked after that last game, is TJ heading to the Northern Hemisphere? And he kind of brushed it off and said, you'll have to wait and see for when we announce the squad. But this is, for me anyway, the perfect opportunity to take TJ out and give those young guys, once again, similar to Sam Cane in my side, a young guy another opportunity. So I've gone with Cam Roigard to replace TJ Perenara. He is right on the cusp of coming back, Roigard. It's been a long layoff since Super Rugby Pacific, but he's been hoping to get that chance back for the All Blacks if he returns to that same form he had before the injury that did take him out. So I would actually leave Noah Hotham in just for now, unless they want to make a bit of a change there, unless maybe they leave TJ in and they put Cam Roigard in for Noah Hotham. But I can kind of see Hotham as a player who sticks around for a little while inside of that All Blacks environment, just so that Scott Robertson can see whether or not he is good enough to stay in there. Finlay Christie actually playing some decent games at the moment for Tasman, so we could even see him come in as a Noah Hotham replacement, but I'm happy enough with the 3 going with those young guys. Maybe you do need that experienced head, though, when playing up against some pretty tough opposition. In the 10s, I have got Beauden Barrett, I have got Damian McKenzie, and I have got Harry Plummer. Now, that is for Stephen Perofeta, who I haven't really heard any updates in terms of his injury, so for now, I am assuming he is out, so I've gone with Harry Plummer as the 3rd fly half. We only saw 3 minutes of him in his All Blacks debut. I would like to see a whole lot more, and with the fact that now they are considering Beauden Barrett as a 10, more so rather than the 15, it means that McKenzie will find himself coming off the bench in certain games, starting the others, but I still think that Harry Plummer can find a way into the side, even if it's up against Japan, show everyone exactly what that man can do. But nice and brief for the 3 fly halves. Moving on now to the centres. Jordie Barrett, he is a bit of an interesting one at the moment because no one really knows the exact length that he will be out for. Now, by the time this video comes out, maybe we do have a bit more of an update, but for now, it is a medial collateral ligament injury, which does sound painful. Very fancy way saying his knee's fucked. But they do need a replacement for Jordie Barrett in the first couple weeks of the November internationals, as he has been ruled out at least for Japan and Ireland. So for his replacement, I would go Quinn Tupaia, a man who really deserves, I believe, another opportunity at international level. He was sadly taken out by Darcy Swain, almost cost him 12 months of his rugby career, but he's still come back and he still looks like roughly that same player since before his injury. So I do think that with Jordie Barrett being injured, that's probably the perfect time to give Quinn Tupaia that chance, although I do think that Che Fiaki, with the fact that he came in as the injury replacement for Jordie Barrett, will be the more likely guy that they do add to the All Black squad. But I would love to see Quinn Tupaia get that opportunity, and hopefully we do see it at some stage before the end of the year. David Havili, he was announced in the original Rugby Championship squad, same with Rieko Ioane, Anton Lienert-Brown, and also Billy Proctor, or as some like to call him, the forgotten man, because they haven't used him in any of the games of the Rugby Championship. David Havili, I would take out of this All Black squad. Scott Robertson will not do it because, of course, he is a Crusaders man, and David Havili, he sees something in him that a lot of other people haven't been seeing in recent times. He's been out of form, and someone who's been in great form is the man that I'm replacing him with, Timothy Tavatavanawai. Now, some people will know that man's name from the Tasman Marcos, also from the Highlanders throughout Super Rugby Pacific. He has been playing 13 lately. So is there a chance that Timothy Tavatavanawai could make his way in as a centre for the All Blacks, or perhaps just a bit more cover for the outside backs? But either way, I feel like it would be pretty awesome to see Timothy Tavatavanawai in an All Blacks kit. The other 3, Rieko Ioane, I would keep in, even though he hasn't been in his best form. Anton Lienert-Brown, I would also keep, and then Billy Proctor, I would keep, but I am playing him throughout November if I was Scott Robertson. Moving on now to the outside backs. Now, I've already taken out Stephen Perofeta, but there is a chance that he will actually be back from his injury. So he's probably the player from my whole side that has been the most unlucky, mainly because for me to do the selections that I have, he has sadly been taken out of my All Blacks team. But in the backs for the Rugby Championship, it was Caleb Clark, Will Jordan, Ruben Love, Stephen Perofeta, Sevu Reece, and also Mark Talia. So I am keeping Caleb Clark. I thought that he was extremely strong throughout the Rugby Championship. Will Jordan, he seemed to find his rhythm as the competition wore on. We've got to remember these were some of Jordan's first real minutes since his long injury layoff, but he is still there, and he is also my starting 15 for the November internationals. Ruben Love, a lot of people don't actually know that he suffered a knee injury playing for the Lions up against Tasman, so that means that he is more than likely going to be ruled out of the November internationals. So for him, I would bring in Sean Stevenson. Now, he is one of those players that some people really want to see him in an All Blacks kit, and others feel like he doesn't defend well enough to be there. But one thing cannot be denied, he is absolutely brilliant on attack. The question is, do they see him more as a fullback? If so, of course, that defense has to be extremely solid. If he's out on the wing, same thing, except you get a little bit more opportunity to be able to show off your skills, including 693 metres carried throughout the Bunnings NPC. He's also had 20 offloads, so loves to keep the ball alive, which is something, of course, that the All Blacks of old used to do, keeping those offloads flowing, and perhaps that could be pretty handy for the ABs in these Northern Hemisphere games. Super Reece, I've decided to take out. Now, Razor won't do that, because once again, same situation as David Havili, he is a Crusaders man, but I would actually take Super Reece out, and I would put Amoni Narawa in, and he has been tearing it up in the Bunnings NPC also. So I think you would be taking out an out-of-form Reece and giving an in-form Amoni Narawa another chance. I thought that it was pretty rough that he got cut from the squad, only getting that chance off the bench near the end of the game up against the Fijians. So this is a chance for Amoni Narawa to really cement himself as that number 14, because at the moment, the New Zealanders do not really have that. They've got Will Jordan, who's playing now 15. They've got Mark Talia, who's been playing on the left, but perhaps does transition to the right. I have also decided to keep him in my squad, but I think that Amoni Narawa, if he is given some decent minutes, could really make an impact in that All Blacks backline. But nonetheless, that is my All Blacks squad. Just once again reiterating, this is not what I think Scott Robertson will be going with. I do think it will be a lot more conservative in terms of those selections, but I've decided to make quite a few changes here. See what you guys think of them. And also do let me know if I've missed any changes that you would like to see. There have been some really great informed players throughout the Bunnings NPC, so perhaps a couple other names could get thrown around the comments as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. When the All Blacks do announce their side on Monday, I will, of course, be letting you know. Thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.